two people can make the same choices, work just as hard, have the same spawn point. In 20 years, their lives will look completely different. And a major reason for that traces back to one number. IQ. We hear IQ everywhere.
IQ.
And there are a lot of different opinions on it.
IQ is everything.
People who boast about their IQ are losers.
You probably need 120 points of IQ.
But does IQ really decide your life's outcome? In this video, we're going to look at how IQ affects some of the most important things in life. But first, what is IQ? IQ, in the most simple way of putting it, is your intelligence stat in a video game. It's a number representing your general intelligence. The whole idea of IQ being general intelligence is that chances are if you're intelligent in one area, you're probably intelligent in all or most other areas. For example, you'd think a student who's amazing at maths wouldn't be as good in English. Same way as the other way around. But psychologists found that if a student was strong in one area, they would usually be strong in most others. So no, you're probably not naturally a genius in one area and a complete dumbass in all the others. It's more likely you're around the same level for all areas of intelligence. But does IQ determine your entire life? Does IQ decide academic success? IQs of 70,000 11-year-olds in England were tested to answer my question. And researchers found that IQ had a 0.81 correlation with their exam results 5 years later when they were 16. This means IQ made up 66% of the reason why they got the score they got across all their exams. The other 33% was made up of other things, like their teachers, their family situation, their study, and IQ is most correlated with maths and physics, and least correlated with subjects like art and drama. So how is the total exam correlation 0.81? Because combining results from all subjects strengthens the overall relationship. The researchers concluded that intelligence is necessary but not sufficient for academic success. You almost never see a low IQ student getting straight A's in physics, but you do see high IQ students failing classes. IQ and income. In 1979, the US tested 12,000 teenagers' IQs. When the researchers looked at their income later on in life, they found roughly a 0.3 correlation. As you can see in the very blurry graph, the dots get slightly higher the higher the IQ, but the correlation isn't that strong. They are still almost as high earners on the lower IQ side as the high IQ side. When we get to the 125 plus, there are almost no one in poverty, so IQ is almost a safety net from going into poverty. And there are also more high earners on the high IQ side. The graph is clearly a staircase showing a jump in median income for every couple IQ points. A 1 point increase in IQ is on average $200 to $600 more a year. Albert, who is top 10% in IQ, is likely to earn 3 times more than Bob, who is bottom 10% in IQ. To sum it up, IQ explains about 9% of income differences. IQ and net worth. So IQ does influence income. So that means it influences net worth, right? Wrong. IQ actually only explains less than 3% of the difference in people's net worth. Someone with an IQ of 130 isn't more likely to be more wealthy than someone with an IQ of 100. Missed payments and maxed out credit cards actually increase slightly with higher IQs. It turns out geniuses are more likely to max out their credit card than the average person. The US government study I talked about earlier showed that often high IQ individuals had more expensive lifestyles like blowing money on homes, cars, and private school. The same study showed that conscientiousness was a far better predictor of wealth. Conscientiousness is basically how disciplined and organised you are. Like having the discipline not to blow $80,000 on a BMW you can't afford. It's like the turtle and the hare race. The genius hare was overconfident in his ability, taking on debt and riskier investments to chase faster rewards. But statistically, a disciplined turtle will end up wealthier than an overconfident, reckless genius with an IQ of 140. Slow and steady wins the wealth race. Intelligence gives you the power to make money, but also to lose it. The high IQ people earning more can get a higher credit limit, so they can lose more money when they max it out. IQ and longevity. IQ is also linked to how long you live. Scotland tested the IQ of an entire school year's population around the 1940s, and researchers tracked 65,000 people from childhood until they were in their late 70s and early 80s. They found that just a 15-point increase in IQ meant a 21% increase in the chance of being alive at 76. So for example, if you got a teacher and a businessman, one has an IQ of 100 and the other has an IQ of 115. The businessman with an IQ of 115 is 21% more likely to reach old age. IQ and the military. This might be the reason the US military does not accept anyone with an IQ under 83, which is 13% of the total population. You might think that's unfair, but it's for the best. In 1966, they lowered the standards to recruit more men. This turned out to be a disaster. These soldiers took way longer to train and just couldn't master basic soldiering skills fast enough. They also found it very difficult to follow instructions. A reason for this is individuals with an IQ of 80 usually have a worse working memory than people of a typical or high IQ. Working memory is like a mental scratch pad in your brain that you use to store information short term to perform mental tasks. So they basically just have less RAM than the average person and forget steps from instructions easier. These soldiers also died 3 times more than regular IQ soldiers. IQ and crime. IQ can also predict how many crimes you commit. IQ explains about 4% of the variance for incarceration rate. Here's a graph explaining this. If you compare the dull to the right, it's a 3.5 times difference. But when you compare the bottom to the top, the difference is massive. Because the top IQ in the study practically doesn't go to jail. And contrary to popular belief, IQ is actually a bigger predictor of staying out of trouble than wealthy parents. Researchers looked at more than 700,000 Swedish men, and they found that a 15-point increase in IQ effectively halves your risk of being convicted of a violent crime. What really shows that IQ predicts crime is when the researchers looked at siblings. If you had 2 brothers with the same family, school, and neighbourhood, the lower IQ brother would be statistically more likely to be convicted of a violent crime. So IQ doesn't determine your life, but statistically, it probably influences it a lot. To sum up the video, IQ explains a large part of academic success, some of income, very little of wealth, and part of crime and longevity. Everything I've said in this video comes from real studies. I didn't just make it up. If you enjoyed the video, consider liking and subscribing.